Victor Von Doom, better known as Dr. Doom, is one of Marvel's most fascinating creations. To the casual reader, he is the armored monarch of Latveria, a villain clad in steel and arrogance, forever clashing with the Fantastic Four. But beneath, the armored Doom is not simply another comic book bad guy. He is a deeply complex character whose story, personality, and philosophy offer an incredible study in psychology. To understand Dr. Doom is to examine pride, trauma, intelligence, control, and the archetypal struggle between the flawed human self and the godlike mask of perfection. Doom's story begins with hardship. Born to a Romani family in Latveria, Victor experienced poverty, persecution, and loss at an early age. His father, Werner, was a healer, and his mother, Cynthia, a sorceress whose dealings with dark forces brought tragedy. When his mother's soul was damned to Mephisto, Victor grew up with the shadow of loss and resentment hanging over him. His father died when Victor was young, leaving him an orphan driven by grief, anger, and determination to rise above his circumstances. This traumatic foundation shaped his psychology. For Doom, the world was cruel, unjust, and contemptuous of him and his people. His vow became not only to master science and sorcery, but to control fate itself, so that he could never again be powerless. That origin story is crucial because it explains why Doom is obsessed with mastery and control. From a psychological perspective, we see classic compensatory mechanisms at work. Trauma and helplessness in childhood often breed obsessive control in adulthood. For Victor, every slight, every injustice became fuel for a belief that only absolute dominance could protect him from vulnerability. His armor is both literal and symbolic. It shields him from attack but also hides the wounded, insecure child beneath. The steel mask, which he dons after an accident scars his face, becomes a metaphor for perfectionism and the refusal to accept human flaws. In Doom's mind, imperfection is weakness, and weakness is intolerable. Doom's intelligence is another defining trait. He is arguably Marvel's most brilliant human mind, rivaling or even surpassing Reed Richards. Psychologically, extreme intelligence often comes with challenges, alienation, arrogance, and difficulty relating to others. For Doom, intellect became both his strength and his prison. He believed his genius set him above all others, and when that genius led to mistakes, as when his experiment to contact his mother's soul failed and scarred him, he externalized blame. Reed Richards, in Doom's mind, sabotaged him. The inability to admit fault is a core part of his psychology. Instead of confronting his own human error, Doom projects responsibility onto others. This projection shields his fragile self-esteem, but deepens his arrogance and paranoia. Pride is central to Doom's psyche. In psychoanalytic terms, he exhibits narcissistic traits, grandiosity, need for admiration, lack of empathy, but his narcissism is not simple vanity. It is a defense against shame. Doom cannot tolerate the idea that he is flawed or vulnerable. His mask and armor symbolize the false self described in psychology, a constructed persona of perfection hiding the wounded real self. Underneath, Doom is still the boy who lost his parents and his homeland, desperate never to feel powerless again. His pride, then, is both armor and prison, isolating him from authentic connection. Another psychological angle is Doom's relationship with Reed Richards. Their rivalry is not only about intellect, but identity. Reed represents the scientific peer who challenges Doom's self-concept of superiority. In social psychology, we see this as a narcissistic injury, the pain caused when someone undermines the grandiose self-image. For Doom, Reed is a living reminder of his fallibility, and therefore must always be surpassed or destroyed. Yet paradoxically, Doom needs Reed. Without a rival, his sense of superiority has no reference point. This is the paradox of narcissism, needing others to validate the self while despising them for it. Doom's obsession with Richards reflects his inner conflict, wanting validation but resenting dependence. Doom's ruling style as monarch of Latveria reveals another layer. Unlike many villains, Doom genuinely cares for his people. He enforces order with authoritarian control, yet Latveria is often depicted as peaceful, prosperous, and safe under his rule. This complexity mirrors psychological theories of authoritarianism. Doom believes that individual freedom leads to chaos, while absolute control ensures stability. His compassion is real, but filtered through a worldview that equates love with domination. He is the archetypal benevolent dictator, providing protection while denying autonomy. For Doom, this is not hypocrisy, but logic. His trauma taught him that only absolute authority can guarantee safety. From a Jungian perspective, Doom represents the shadow, the rejected aspects of self that are projected outward. He is the dark mirror of the hero. Where Reed Richards embraces collaboration and humility, Doom embraces pride and control. Where heroes accept vulnerability, Doom rejects it. Yet audiences resonate with Doom because his shadow is recognizable. Who has not wished for total control in the face of chaos? Who has not struggled with pride or the fear of imperfection? Doom embodies the human shadow amplified to mythic proportions. Doom is also archetypal in another way. He is the wounded king. His power, brilliance, and majesty are undeniable, yet his wounds, physical and emotional, define him. The scar on his face, which may be tiny but which he perceives as monstrous, symbolizes the deep psychological scar of shame. He cannot accept imperfection, so he hides it behind armor and rage. In this way, Doom is not only villain, but tragic figure. His brilliance and potential for good are sabotaged by his inability to integrate his wounds into a whole self. There is also the theme of destiny in Doom's psychology. He often speaks of his fate as ruler, as savior, as inevitable. This reflects a psychological defense mechanism against uncertainty. By declaring his greatness destiny, Doom shields himself from the anxiety of chance or failure. Believing in destiny also externalizes responsibility. If he is fated to rule, then mistakes are not his, but part of a cosmic plan. This mindset justifies his authoritarianism. Resistance is not disagreement. It is rebellion against destiny itself. Doom's use of both science and sorcery is significant. Psychologically, it represents his refusal to accept limits. Most characters in Marvel choose one path, science or magic, but Doom masters both. This duality reflects his obsession with total control. If one domain has limits, he will master another. It also reflects his identity conflict, the rational scientist versus the mystic son of a sorceress. By claiming both, he integrates opposites, but not in a balanced way. He hoards them as tools of dominance. What about Doom's morality? He is not purely evil. He has protected Latveria, fought greater threats, and even joined heroes when it suited him. This ambiguity makes him psychologically rich. He operates on a personal moral code. He must rule, he must dominate, but he must also protect what is his. In moral psychology, this reflects a communal narcissism. He gains self-worth by believing he is the indispensable protector of his people. His moral compass bends around his ego. Doom's relationships highlight his psychological isolation. He has sought love, whether with Susan Storm, whom he admires and covets, or other partners, but his pride and need for control sabotage intimacy. Love requires vulnerability, and Doom cannot tolerate that. His relationships then become extensions of power rather than genuine connection. The tragedy is that Doom longs for acceptance but cannot risk exposure. Even Doom's name, Dr. Doom, reflects psychological projection. Doom is not only what he brings to others, but what defines him internally. He lives in constant anticipation of doom, loss, failure, humiliation, and so he externalizes it by becoming doom itself. By identifying with destruction, he controls it. Better to be doom than to suffer it. From a broader psychological lens, doom resonates because he embodies timeless human struggles. He is trauma and pride, intelligence and arrogance, protector and tyrant. He represents the dangers of perfectionism, the refusal to accept flaws leading to isolation and tyranny. He shows how brilliance without humility corrodes into arrogance, and he illustrates how unprocessed trauma breeds obsession with control. Yet doom also inspires. His determination, intellect, and refusal to submit to fate show resilience. In Another Life Without the Scars of Trauma and Pride, Victor von Doom could have been a hero, and perhaps that is why he fascinates us. He is both villain and almost hero, a mirror of our own shadows and potentials. In conclusion, the psychology of Dr. Doom is a study in extremes. His childhood trauma fuels an obsession with control. His brilliance isolates him. His pride shields him from shame but imprisons him in arrogance. His mask hides not only his scar but his vulnerability. He rules with authority that brings both protection and oppression. He is narcissist, shadow, wounded king, and tragic figure all at once. And that is why Dr. Doom endures, not merely as an enemy of the Fantastic Four, but as one of the richest psychological portraits in fiction.